Alright, we have heard plenty about Jonathan Kuminga throughout the summer. Whether you want him or not, that's been the Lakers' top target, their top rumored trade target, and the guy that they're trying to get to fill that power forward, small forward spot. However, I think we would much rather prefer a different wing target that does remain on the open market as well. That player being Peyton Watson, a guy that the Lakers were linked to, but that was before they traded for Walker Kessler. After that trade, they did not have enough trade assets.
The Lakers may have a much more interesting opportunity sitting in front of them with Peyton Watson. For now, Watson remains caught in a frustrating offseason stalemate with Denver after asking for a significant contract. That situation has become especially interesting for Los Angeles because other teams keep running into the same wall created by his asking price, and that could ultimately work in the Lakers' favor. All summer, the conversation around Los Angeles has centered heavily on Jonathan Kuminga as the big target for that athletic forward role. Whether you want Kuminga on the roster or not, he has clearly been treated as the headline name connected to the Lakers. But Peyton Watson is still out there, and he could be a cleaner and more dynamic wing option. The Lakers were strongly linked to Watson earlier in the offseason, but everything changed after Rob Pelinka completed the high-profile trade for Walker Kessler. Once that deal happened, Los Angeles had essentially used up its remaining trade assets, pushed against its luxury apron limits, and lost the salary flexibility needed to acquire Watson through a traditional trade right away. That's why the rumor conversation naturally shifted elsewhere. Now Watson is still sitting in Denver's stalemate, while the Lakers are watching the situation develop from the outside. So the question for Rob Pelinka is pretty simple. Does he try to make a chaotic blockbuster move for Peyton Watson now, or does he wait and see if Denver eventually forces Watson into a one-year qualifying offer? Because if Denver reaches that point, waiting could end up being the smarter play. Either way, this situation is becoming one worth watching for Los Angeles.
That player being Peyton Watson, a guy that the Lakers were linked to, but that was before they traded for Walker Kessler. After that trade, they did not have enough trade assets, likely did not have enough first apron or salary cap space to then get Peyton Watson, which is why they have pivoted. However, Peyton Watson remains on the open market, and obviously he's had a difficult time getting the contract he wants, getting the situation that he wants, and the fact that he's made it pretty known that he would like to be in LA, is living here right now during the summer, even going as far to talk to Lakers general manager Rob Pelinka on 2 different occasions, not to mention. I would think that, if possible, he would like to be here, and the Lakers would like to have him too.
The strange part of the Peyton Watson situation is that he still hasn't landed the contract or team situation he's looking for. His preference for Southern California isn't exactly hidden either. Watson has spent the summer living and working out in Los Angeles, and he has personally spoken with Lakers general manager Rob Pelinka twice. Those conversations certainly make the Lakers connection interesting. If an opportunity opens up, Watson would reportedly be eager to join Los Angeles and wear the purple and gold, and the Lakers front office would reportedly welcome him as well. So if both sides are interested, why isn't Watson already on the Lakers? Maybe the answer is simply the money. If Los Angeles really is taking the long view, the latest development could actually help them. According to insider Mark Stein, Watson is seeking more than $25 million per season. That would put his asking price around or above the annual salary of his Denver teammate Christian Braun, who received an extension worth $25 million per year. And that is where things get complicated for every team interested in Watson. When a young developing role player is asking for $25 million or more annually, contenders suddenly have to think twice before making a move.
One report coming out from Mark Stein saying that Peyton Watson wants more than $25 million per year, aka the average annual salary of current Denver Nuggets teammate Christian Braun. So given that price, that's going to be hard to reach for pretty much every team that's after him. Everyone from Cleveland, Milwaukee, Atlanta, even all the way down to the LA Clippers, even though they would be a long shot. For Cleveland, they're currently dealing with the first apron, trying to re-sign James Harden, while trying to offload both Dennis Schroeder, which they have already done, and then not only Max Strus, but if they're going to pay Peyton Watson that amount, both Max Strus and Jared Allen. And at that point, would it really be worth it? I would probably say no. I mean, I like Peyton Watson. I really like him. I think the long-term upside would be great. I think the fit would be great for pretty much every team, but at that point, if you're having to trade Schroeder, Strus, Allen, and then make the sign and trade for him, pay him like $25 to $30 million per year.
The list of teams reportedly interested in Pascal Siakam includes Cleveland, Milwaukee, Atlanta, and even the Clippers. But that asking price creates a serious problem for all of them.
Cleveland is already dealing with the first apron while trying to bring back James Harden, and they previously had to move Dennis Schroeder just to create room for Harden. If the Cavaliers tried to acquire Pascal Siakam on a deal worth somewhere between $25 million and $30 million annually, the price would become much more extreme. They would potentially have to move Max Strus, Jarrett Allen, and possibly Sam Merrill just to make the numbers work. Then you're talking about giving up a future first-round pick and a young player like Jalen Tyson on top of that. Does it really make sense for Cleveland to dismantle that much of its rotation and then give Pascal Siakam star-level money? That would be organizational insanity. If Cleveland moves Max Strus off the books, the purpose is to keep James Harden, not to create some complicated sign-and-trade package for Pascal Siakam. Trying to stay under the apron while paying Harden somewhere between $30 million and $40 million would already require Cleveland to sacrifice a major part of its core. So, despite all the early reporting connecting the Cavaliers to Pascal Siakam, Cleveland can realistically be crossed off the list. The same financial concern applies to Milwaukee and Atlanta, with both teams wary of entering or remaining in luxury tax territory.
I don't think it's going to happen. And then for both Milwaukee and Atlanta, they apparently are not willing or would not like to enter the luxury tax, which they definitely would if they made a sign and trade for Peyton Watson. For Milwaukee, they are currently $8.1 million below the luxury tax line. And again, for Peyton Watson, who wants like $25 to $30 million per year, more than Christian Brown, then yes, they definitely would be in that luxury tax threshold. So following years of paying it, they don't want to go back into it. After trading away Giannis, after entering a rebuild, they are not trying to make a hefty luxury tax payment, maybe not even for Peyton Watson. And not only that, but what it would take to get him, what they would have to trade to stay below that luxury tax line and get Peyton Watson would then mean offloading a guy like Kyle Kuzma or Miles Turner.
The biggest obstacle for Peyton Watson right now might actually be Denver's salary situation, because the Nuggets are sitting in a difficult position around the second apron. Some league insiders believe Denver pushed itself toward that line intentionally to prevent a sign-and-trade involving Watson. The idea would be to leave Watson with a one-year qualifying offer worth $6.5 million, allowing Denver to stay just under the second apron while retaining his rights for another season. Meanwhile, Milwaukee has its own problem, sitting roughly $8.1 million below the luxury tax threshold. A Watson contract starting at $25 million would immediately push the Bucks into significant tax penalties. After trading Giannis Antetokounmpo and beginning a full rebuild, Milwaukee ownership has little reason to take on massive tax bills for a team that isn't competing. Even creating enough room to avoid the tax would likely require draft capital to move contracts such as Kyle Kuzma or Miles Turner. Moving Turner's contract alone could cost a valuable first-round pick, and sacrificing that asset simply to create salary room for Watson makes little sense for Milwaukee, so the Bucks can be crossed off as well. Atlanta is in an even tighter position with only about $3.8 million separating the Hawks from the luxury tax threshold. A Watson sign-and-trade would require Atlanta to clear more than $22 million in salary immediately. The Hawks also already have 17 players for a 15-man roster, leaving them with very little room to make everything work. They don't have the flexibility for Watson, and they also don't have the cap room to pursue someone like Jonathan Kuminga. Atlanta is essentially out of the picture. Then there are the Clippers, who recently finished the Kawhi Leonard investigation without receiving official league discipline. Even with that situation behind them, the Clippers remain in a complicated basketball position. They also have restricted free agent Benedict Mathurin to deal with, while their roster combines aging veterans with young prospects. It's hard to see them committing $25 million per year to Watson over Mathurin. That leaves Denver, where the salary cap restrictions could be exactly what keeps Watson from moving. And all of this creates a major challenge for Los Angeles. A Lakers trade for Watson right now would be extremely difficult and would require a complicated two-step sequence with Denver. First, Los Angeles would need to take back Zeke Naji while sending Dalton Knecht to the Nuggets just to get Denver below the second apron and restore its ability to aggregate salaries. After that, the Lakers would still need a massive 3-team or 4-team deal to actually complete the Watson trade. A deal for Peyton Watson right now would force the Lakers into a massive sacrifice. Los Angeles would have to send Jake LaRavia, Cameron Carr, a 2032 pick swap, and additional draft picks to Denver, while also convincing a team like Memphis to absorb Jared Vanderbilt through a trade exception in exchange for multiple second-rounders. That is way too much to give up just to make the deal happen immediately. The Lakers would be emptying their remaining draft capital while also giving away Cameron Carr, a young piece on a cheap $3.5 million contract through 2029. That would be a terrible way to manage the roster. There's no reason for Los Angeles to destroy its depth simply because it wants to force a sign and trade right now. In fact, Denver's decision to block Watson's long-term payday could eventually work in the Lakers' favor. If the Nuggets force him into a one-year qualifying offer, they risk damaging their relationship with him. Watson grew up in California, played high school and college basketball there, and spends his summers in Los Angeles. So if Denver pushes him into a one-year deal he doesn't want, that relationship could become a serious issue. By the middle of the season, Watson could be sitting on an expiring contract and unhappy with how Denver handled everything. That would dramatically weaken the Nuggets' leverage. They couldn't realistically demand multiple first-round picks for an expiring player who doesn't want to re-sign with them. His trade value could drop, and that could give the Lakers a much cheaper opportunity to acquire him. Instead of sacrificing everything now, Los Angeles can protect its assets and simply wait for the situation to develop. Denver could end up creating the exact circumstances that make Watson easier for the Lakers to acquire later. The price could come down, the path could open up, and Los Angeles could potentially land Watson without tearing apart its roster. So Denver's current situation may eventually create a major opportunity for the Lakers. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel.